Not a baby. Yes, you are. By Stars Not Focused. Chapter 2. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is let go. Summary, in which a boy turns to goo, and Altera still sucks ass. Danny woke up with the smell of ash and burning plastic suffocating him. Beeps and whistles of malfunctioning machinery warning him of his imminent demise cried louder than he did. His body felt stiff, and his head pounded like someone bashed it in with the creep stick. Something about him felt wrong, like he'd been chopped and quartered, but was somehow still partly alive. With a gasp of putrid air, Danny's hand flew towards his face, tugging at cheeks that were way too chubby, with hands too tiny to be his. A slime-like substance clung to his skin, pooling in a goopy mess below him. It smelled rotten, like something Dad pulled out of the back of the freezer. The goop was reddish, with bits of green shining through the foul-smelling mess. His stomach churned the longer he stared at it, and for a split second Danny swore he saw a melted finger sticking out of it. It melted into the gunk as quickly as he spotted it. The panel that had previously been embedded in his flesh sat in the middle of the vicious fluid like garnish for the world's worst soup. A crackling stab of electricity brought his attention back to the roaring flames only a few feet beside him. Then he strained, power buzzing at his fingertips, cooling his palms, but fizzled out, with droplets of the gory fluid frozen to his skin. You'd get more cold air from a plastic pinwheel. Shoving his hands into open fire with an unknown fluid coating his body and no ice powers to back him up was a stupid idea even for him. He was all for the fuck around and find out mindset, but not when there was nobody around to laugh at him for his dumb buzzery. Sam, Tucker, Chaz. He'd never hear the end of it if he died from his own stupidity again. Now that he was pretty much powerless, a fire extinguisher would be more useful than his hands for now. Altera might be a little shady, but it was a life pod. There had to be a fire extinguisher stashed away somewhere, right? Danny all but slipped out of the seat, the shoulder guards too wide to ever hold his now tiny body. His stomach lurched as his foot sank down into the vicious puddle. Searching around a burning life pod with what could possibly be his liquefied corpse was the scariest crap that would ever happen to him on this trip. A fire extinguisher sat propped up against what should have been the seat of another survivor. Then he snatched it up. The canister, half his body size. Maybe when he wasn't at the risk of burning to death, that'd be scary to him. Aiming at the roaring flames, then he squeezed the trigger so hard his hand shook instead of the messy, thick form he was used to back home. This fire extinguisher sprayed out a powdery mist, stuffing the flames in seconds before disappearing into thin air like it'd never been sprayed in the first place. Altera was on another level. Wait, why didn't they have these at home? Fires broke out several times a day at Fenton Works. You're telling me instead of spending half an hour hurting himself cleaning Fenton anti-ghost fire foam, he could have been using one of these babies? There were barely any scorch marks on the walls. You could hardly tell that just a few seconds ago there was a wall of flames that reached the ceiling. This fire extinguisher was coming home with him. He'd make sure of that. In fact, this fire extinguisher was his new best friend. His Wilson, if you will. He and Wilson would be going on so many adventures from here on out. To any normal person, it might have seemed a little odd that he was humanizing an inanimate object so soon. But to Danny, it was just on theme. He hadn't stepped foot outside, but he could feel the life pod dripping rhythmically with what Danny hoped was water. The life pod hadn't started melting yet, so it's probably not acid. If it did turn out to be boring old water, it'd be immensely disappointing. He wasn't saying he wanted to land in a vicious metal-eating acid, but landing on an alien planet composed mainly of giant seas of acid would be a pretty metal way to die a third time. Agent knows he needed something cool to happen to him after dying from something as mundane as a panel flying off the wall. Yes, he counted that as a death. He was turned into goo, and it smelled awful. Danny's eyes darted around the life pod. There's a ladder in the middle of the pod leading to the top hatch. Soft light from a clear blue sky shining through the glass. The bottom hatch was pure metal, the type of hatch you'd expect to see on a futuristic submarine. He didn't want to leave the life pod, not yet at least. No matter how foul the life pod smelled, he would die if he left now. He was naked as the day he was born, with zero weaponry to defend himself. If his parents had designed these life pods, they would have been armed to the teeth and stocked full of fudge. Toddling past the ladder, Danny went about searching through the storage units he could reach. Nutrient blocks, flares, and water. Come on, Altera! Where was all the cool stuff? Propulsion guns, stasis rifles, teleporters. You would think one of the biggest space exploration programs in the universe could afford to stock the life pods with something cooler than bricks of food and sparklers. Sure, there were the futuristic-looking suits, but those wouldn't fit him in a million years. Danny pulled a glowing blue tablet out of one of the suit's backpacks. Then he remembers being denied one of these things at orientation because "You're too young, Danny. There will always be an adult with a PDA on hand to help you." Glancing around the life pod, he gasped dramatically. Oh no, there's no adult inside. Guess nobody could stop him from using the forbidden blue tablet. He snickers and starts tapping his pudgy fingers against Altera's precious tablet. With his mocking taps, the tablet jumps to life. A bright blue glow flashed in his face as Altera's logo began to spin on its screen. "Altera," the tablet sang in a robotic tone as it began to boot up. "You have suffered minor head trauma. This is considered an optional outcome." Danny side-eyes the metal sheet on the ground as the PDA continues. This PDA has now been rebooted in emergency mode, with one directive to keep you alive on an alien world. Please refer to the data bank for detailed survival advice. Good luck. The robot lady finished her little speech, leaving Danny to swipe through the tabs of the PDA. Tucker would kill to get his hands on technology like this. Apparently, the PDA mentioned his vital signs, supposedly had hundreds of blueprints before the crash, is waterproof and temperature resistant, had a pretty good microphone and camera. The PDA itself was easy to interact with, or it was until Altera's spinning logo of death decided to flashbang him again. Attention! Altera does not approve of child labor for those under the age of 2 years old. What? This PDA will bypass certain rules with the sole purpose of accessibility and keeping you alive. Altera gives their sincerest apologies for your involvement. Okay, now he had access to the suit in smaller sizes. Only downside was now the entire PDA was babying him. He could read agents, damn it! Rummaging through the settings for a few minutes, he finds he can turn off certain features of baby mode, but shutting it off completely wasn't even an option. Honestly, Danny was just happy he could turn the robot voice back on. It was better than baby mode's default. He didn't know why the soft, loving tone mimicking that of a mother smoothing her child made his eyes start to water. He just knew he never wanted to hear it thrown at him as a manipulative tactic to keep him calm, devoid of any of the love it pretended to offer. With a sniffle, Danny runs his hands over one of the suits. It's like leather, with a waxy silicone sheen. He drags it to the fabricator, allowing his PDA adjust the proportions of the suit. The fabricator sparks to life dark blue lasers, disintegrating the suit into nothing before reassembling it into something completely anew in a matter of minutes. What Danny picked off the fabricator was a tiny wetsuit, warm to the touch and easy to put on. With his newly improved wetsuit, Danny sucks in a breath, turning the veil of the bottom hatch. There was a hiss of air escaping, and Danny was met with lapping ocean waters and colorful fish darting around what looked to be giant coral tubes. Danny dipped his feet in the water, and when they didn't melt into a conglomerate mess of flesh and bone, Danny grabbed Wilson to join him as he pushed himself out of the life pod. Flying in the ghost zone could be just like swimming sometimes, and while it was much harder to tread water with tiny legs and a fire extinguisher in your backpack, Danny was doing just fine, treading up to the surface. He gasped for air, clinging onto the orange airbags, keeping the life pod afloat. It was then that Danny saw the wreckage of the Aurora, engulfed in flames. The Aurora suffered orbital hull failure. Case unknown. 0 human life signs detected. And that was the chapter! I hope you liked it. I did. Leave a like if you did. If you like my videos in general, feel free to subscribe and share the video. I do Podfic commissions. Infos to that are on the screen or like in my channel description. So you can request me to read a fic or a story or so for you or for the people on the channel. Just like contact me. Also, if you do commission me, you get early access to my Discord server, where I record each video live, and you always know what will be the next video that's coming out. I really like Subnautica these days. Also, I represent to you recording highlights. Dun dun dun. Probably with Sag Edition because he helped me in this video a lot. Is let go. Let go. I don't know. Sag, can you tell me what that word says, or should I go to the translator?
Arrow, I don't see your...
Fine, I'm streaming, fine. You have convinced me. Be happy.
Okay, I watched. That is whistles.
Okay. Beeps and whistles of manufactured and his head pounded. I think it's pounded. And quarantined. No,
it's not quarantined.
Yeah, I said quartered. Okay, I said quartered.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Shush.
What?
With his hands too tiny to be hit. Too tiny. His stomach crumbed. His stomach crumbed the longer he stared at it, and for a split second Danny swore he saw a melted figure sticking out of it. You're not muted. You're not muted. I heard you yawning.
Because I was like about to yell the word because you put it like you said Arrow. That word is churned.
Churned. Okay. It melted into goo. Sat in the middle of the vicious. A crackling sap of to the rotating flame. No, with droplets of the gooey. He was off. Wait. He was now dead. Now Altera might be a little shy. No, his stomach lunged. No, lunged. Is it lunged or launched?
Neither. It's lurched.
Lurched! Okay. With what could possibly be and the canister half Okay, I get it. I got this. He. God damn it! Why am I laughing? Aiming at the. Blah, blah, blah. Fires broke out several times a day at Phantom Work. Sorry. Fires broke out several days no. God damn it. You're telling me instead of speeding, he could have been using one of to many normal of S, the type of hatch you'd expect. The type of hat stasis status? No. Is it stasis?
Yes, stasis.
Okay. You'd think one of the biggest space explorers and sprinklers. And sparklers? With the sole purpose of and when they didn't melt into a conglomerate? Is it conglomerate? Zag?
Oh, conglomerate. I believe so, yeah.
Okay. And while it was much harder to treat water, their role was suffered. Have a nice rest of your time, and see you next time.